great.
Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to Rise Up After Dark.
Rise up after dark.
You got me, your friend Evan, and William Watson, a fancy ghost for our friends on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn, but he is here with us drinking a glass of wine.
Can you hear my sips?
I cannot hear your sips, but
I have to sip louder.
you have to sip. That is the proper way. I'm just picturing you at like a French vineyard with a bunch of people like delicately swilling, and you're like,
Oh, I do have a fun story. So I have an uncle who, if Alex were here, he'd be like, of course you do. So I have an uncle who ran up until last year an award-winning vineyard out in California. And we had Thanksgiving with him 3 years ago.
yeah.
And we'd been drinking wine every single day, all day, for like 5 days straight. And I was just like, and he had a bunch of friends over, but they were like moochers trying to like mooch off of him, really. And I was just like, I don't like these people, because he has a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't like these people at all. And I don't want to fucking drink wine anymore. And so my brother and I drove to the closest convenience store, got a 30 rack of Coors Light, walked into this place and just started cracking Coors Lights in front of all these wine snobs and people who like work in the industry. And they're like, what are you doing? And we were like, drinking something actually good. What is this? Whatever. I think the year was like 2023. 2023. This was a good year. A good year ago. And we just started crushing a 30. And my uncle came over. He's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, Uncle Mick, you want this Coors Light so bad right now, and you can't because you're around a bunch of people you're trying to like keep business relationships with.
Yeah.
And need them to think that you're a wine snob too. But I love that. And we just started smoking cigars, and we got ostracized by these like Richie Rich little foo-foo California wine people.
I'm going to give you a for that.
Wait, the dinosaur. Look at the dinosaur, Evan. Look at the dinosaur.
Whoa, it was like a brontosaurus.
Awesome. Yeah.
For our friends on Facebook and everywhere else, I'll tell you what, these TikTok gifts are next level. We really appreciate it. And I'm giving you a ding for the dinosaur, and I'm giving Will another ding for the story. And Will, I also know that people, I rugged you before, people want to know, how's your dad? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's good. And I do want to remember these questions. One is about World Liberty Financial buying coins. We'll talk about that in a second. I'll talk about re-entering the market too. A few things. But my dad, for those of you who may not know, we were very worried he suffered a stroke, which was very worrying for us because his father, my grandfather, died after having like 100 strokes. Like, I mean, it was just everything you could imagine happened. And so my father woke up 2 days ago. Oh, hang on a second. Let me just turn my notifications off. A day and a half ago, and he woke up and he was like blinking his eyes, and there was something weird. And he had lost half of the vision. So if a line was just drawn down his right eye, the entire half of the inside of the other part of his eye was just black. So if he closed his eye, it was black. But if he had his eye open, his left inside eye would compensate. He could see things fine, but when he closed it, it was just half black. And then also his arm felt tingly. So we were all like stroke. And the VA, because my dad's a veteran, was like stroke. And then the first doctor he talked to on the phone was like, that's a stroke. And then he drove down to Maine, where his optometrist is. And they went into his eye and they saw that his retina had just disconnected. Like it just disconnected. So we got surgery today. So that was great news because we were like, oh my God, it's not a stroke. Fantastic. Because if you have a stroke, you can't do anything about it. But if your retina detaches, you can have surgery. So my dad just had surgery today. It took 2 hours. He came out, had a big old patch on his eye, was hopped up on pain meds. But the thing is he has to like lay down for like a month, basically. So he was like, I'm just going to go to bed since I have to lay down. And he's kind of tired. So, but he's good. And yeah, I asked the same question, Jeet, like, how does that happen? Apparently, like, it can just happen. But also, as you get older, it can be like, I don't know, I think about it as like a piece of tape. Like the adhesive can just kind of come off and then like the tape becomes weaker. That can happen with your retina, apparently. So yeah, but he's doing okay and he wants to start drinking and smoking immediately. So I'm up here to like stop him from doing that. So he's like, wow, you know, he's also a cancer survivor. So he's like, I'm on bonus time anyway. And I'm like, Dad, no, fucking stop. He's like, whatever. He's like, he loves saying this because I started saying it. He's like, what? It's free baseball. Come on. He's saying that all the time, like extra innings. It's free baseball. That's how he views his like extra 9 years he's had in his life.
Man, and he's William Watson the third, isn't he?
The third.
The third.
Yeah.
Man. Okay.
Yeah, Crypto Mike. I love old guys like that too. Like my dad still rides motorcycles. My dad's been skiing this season. He's 82 years old. You know,
man,
he's crushing it.
I love it. I'm glad for him. I'm glad he's got such a good attitude and that it's fixable and easy and that you're there. Really quickly, for people who don't know how we do this, let me throw this up to tell you that Wednesdays after dark, we usually do altcoin research. We'll answer your questions. We'll look at specific examples. We'll show you how people do this thing, do your own research. And it's you know, let your hair down, get a drink, BYOB kind of show. That's why Will and I have the wine. I've got this like hippie headband with the headphones look going on now. And we'll get to it. I took note of those questions and just want to let you.
Your hair looks very voluminous. I think it might be the mic just brings it out.
It might, I mean, it might be. It could be something in the water, something in the air. I don't know. If you have an altcoin that you want us to look at, you have a crypto project you want us to look at, the best way to submit that is in our Discord. It's totally free. It's discord.gg/riseup. But we're happy to answer questions here too. So we'll be watching there. It's time to get going. What do you say? If you hear this sound, it means that somebody has received a point, like the Brontosaurus or William Watson III or William Watson IV. If you hear this sound, it means you lost a point. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the gifts. They're very kind. And thank you for being here with us tonight. William Watson IV. Do you want to start with World Liberty Financial or do you want to start with the market re-entering generally? What do you think?
I want to start with World Liberty Financial because it's a misnomer or it's misleading information.
Great.
To say, and I thought this at first also, but actually you and Alex cleared it up for me. But the cryptocurrencies that are in World Liberty's Financial, it is not necessarily World Liberty Financial buying them. Yes, with a wallet, if you know the address, you can just send crypto to it. That's not what's happening in this case. You can pay to have your cryptocurrency be put into World Liberty Financial's wallet. And it's something like $200,000. It costs like $200,000 and you can put your cryptocurrency in World Liberty Financial's wallet. So it is not necessarily them buying those coins. It's just them paying for access. So then people can be like, see, our coin's in Trump's, buy our coin. So that's it. So to put an asterisk on everything there, it's just a representation or an extension of a lot of these crypto companies' marketing budget.
And we'll check this out. I pulled up Arkm, ARKM.com. For people who don't know, this is a wallet tracking website, and it's, you know, not perfect as reading the blockchain would be, but it's a really nice dashboard of activity. Let me zoom in a little around these World Liberty Financial protocols and other known wallets. You can see how many deposits they've had, where those deposits came from or went, how much. Notice they haven't really been buying tokens to their wallet in mass in a big way since February. And they've moved a lot of their assets to Coinbase. Also, not a lot of movement from them. And check this one out. If you go over here, this I have toggled is the most recent transfers or transactions. I switched inflows on, and you can see all these people who send them tokens. It's not just people who are like, I want to get listed, I want to buy your token or whatever, but it's a lot of like memes who are just doing advertising. There's what is it here? A Waifu token. 6.96 Waifu tokens worth $4. You know,
waifu. It's pronounced waifu for the weebs.
Okay, point for Will. That's probably a one for me.
A point off waifu.
Yeah, probably.
I like that.
But this is just a wonderful way to see the kind of stuff they get. Dust just like you. A dust transaction, for people who don't know, is when just, you know, you get a poster, a flyer sent to your wallet for something you didn't ask for. Good to know. Arkm, ARKM. What do you think about the general holding of assets by World Liberty Financial, Will? What's your take on them buying cryptocurrency and participating in the space? Do you have any thoughts on it you could give us before we move on?
I think because you can pay to be in their wallet, I think first and foremost, you should only be looking at coins that they hold that are well over $100 million in value. To then like really kind of think about it seriously of like, okay, is World Liberty Financial really investing in this? that would be my word of advice. But if the question is just, here's the thing. If World Liberty Financial is out buying stuff, and you believe that the people who are in power manipulate markets, if they actually really start buying stuff, like proving by what Evan showed through Arkham, ARKM, then you're like, this is probably the bottom. Like this is probably insider trading. Like the Trump family is going to buy as close to the bottom as they can, right? We haven't really seen buying since February when they were buying Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's the only thing I can think of. If you see smaller altcoins start to pop up in the wallet, I wouldn't give that any credence. But if you see them start loading up on Bitcoin and Ethereum or Solana or Cardano or XRP in a big way, then I'd be like, But otherwise, I'm not really putting a lot of value on what's in WLFI's wallet anymore.
Is that so? I think it's important to pay attention to, just because of their proximity to the president. And I think,
well, that's why I say, if they start buying something in a serious way, then I think it's something to pay attention to.
There was a follow-up question about if they bought in February, their prices still have to recover from these buy-ins. And that's correct, but they're not trading tokens like you and me. The way World Liberty Financial is presumably going to make money is by facilitating other people's movements of cryptocurrency. They're essentially a competitor of, go ahead. Would you? Oh, yeah. They're a competitor of Aave. They're a competitor of Uniswap, anybody who provides that. And they will take a cut every time somebody goes to their platform to custody assets, to lend assets, to trade assets. And they need assets on hand. It almost doesn't matter for them what price they buy it at. What they need more is to accumulate it. They need to signal interest, and they need to have it on hand for when they open, so that they can do business that competes with someone like Uniswap, someone like Binance. An interesting holding in their wallet is that they have Aave tokens worth about $5 million. And Aave is like the biggest decentralized finance lending protocol. It's a behemoth in our space. It'd be like if the government chose to buy, I don't know, Morgan Stanley or something like that. It's a smaller scale, but it's that kind of an institution in crypto. And they own about, I think it's 1.5% of these governance tokens that give you a real say about how that platform, their competitor, operates. So it's worth paying attention to and worth knowing, what those companies are, what they do. They hold Link. They hold a couple other things, and you can see them all in Arkham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I saw a question too about what did Jerome Powell say?
I was going to ask you. FOMC, right?
Yeah, the FOMC, Jerome Powell and the Fed. Here are the big highlights. I have it written down here, handy dandy.
Love it.
So it started off really bullishly, where the Fed said that they were going to begin reducing in April the amount that they allow their balance sheet to be reducted by. And so let me explain what that means. So the Fed has a balance sheet that they hold assets on. And when the Fed is trying to stimulate the economy, what they do is they go out and they buy assets off the stock market, typically very safe assets. And the Fed has a lot of money because they make the money. And that's one way that they stimulate markets, by pumping directly money into basically Wall Street. And when they go through something called quantitative tightening, which is what they've been doing for the past 2 years, essentially, is instead of buying assets, they can do one of two things. They can either just let those assets come to maturity, so think bonds, assets come to maturity, and so their balance sheet with the amount of stuff that they held came up, and then as they start allowing those assets to come to maturity, slowly declines, and it increases the amount of sell-side pressure on global markets to push them down. And what they could then start doing is, if they really wanted to drive down the markets, they would actually, instead of just letting those assets mature and not rebuy them, they would actually actively sell them and cause way more bearish pressure. The Fed didn't do that this time around. So they've just been letting those assets come to maturity for a subtle bearish pressure on global markets. And so what they said is, beginning in April, they're basically going to stop doing that. They're going to stop putting $25 billion a month of sell-side pressure on global markets, put that down to $5 billion. So they've basically stopped entirely. So we're like right on the edge. They're edging us with switching to quantitative easing, which is when they pump markets with money. So that was the most bullish thing. That's what the market started with. Other things they mentioned was that they are expecting higher inflation and lower growth for the US economy for 2025 than their previous forecast in December. Consumer spending is slowing, but only moderately so. If the economy remains strong, then the Fed is really comfortable with just kind of like sitting back and watching the data and not cutting rates at all, which isn't what Trump wants to hear. And then they said that tariffs are driving up inflation in the near term, and it may delay their progress on inflation. But the silver lining with that, Jerome Powell said, is that once tariffs go away, due to trade deals being negotiated, we're going to be left with some inflation numbers that are going to be pretty damn good that we're going to be happy with, is our thoughts and opinions on it. So we just need the tariffs to go away, and then things look pretty damn good from an inflation standpoint. And then yada, yada, yada. The last thing he said is that outsiders are forecasting recessionary fears in the United States at higher levels than before. But Jerome Powell said that those forecasts are still at like a medium level instead of like a high risk level. And that Jerome Powell still sees the US economy being strong enough, even with a little bit more of a market downturn, to avoid a full-blown recession. And so that's what Jerome Powell said.
Thank you. I'm curious then. I think that provides a perfect segue to talk about re-entering the market or anticipating, because we're speculating here based on those kind of things. I personally have really shifted to embrace this idea that we probably won't see markets recover in a meaningful, sustained way until we get better policy, actual policy, and other macro indicators. Just the picture starts picking up. I don't know when that could be. Based on that and other information, I think, the end of the year is kind of my target, or heading into the end of the year. Somebody asked about the pump that we had today. How long will it last? And I'm expecting any kind of movement up or down to be temporary, short and temporary, to correct within the day. I see that a lot in the last month and kind of expect it to continue. And I don't plan to re-enter, stuff until I assess better what's going on. I buy Bitcoin regularly all the time, just as a habit. And then I'm eyeing things like Sol that I have long-term conviction will recover when it seems like a good price and I have the opportunity. And I'm also honestly eyeing something like Link that World Liberty Financial has in its portfolio, that has had a seat at the table at the crypto summit and done other things with the White House and is like kind of cheap right now. Like they're not going anywhere, I'm thinking about those things. I'm really not moving that quick though. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally happy sitting in stablecoins right now because here's the thing. April is probably going to be a bit of a doozy. The reason why is that we're going to get Q1 earnings reports for all of the companies in the first quarter, and we're expecting those numbers to be pretty bad. The other thing also is that on April 4th, you get the other half of the tariffs being implemented on Canada and Mexico, right? Because half of those got delayed by a whole month, and even some of them got pushed off a little bit further past that. So look at April 4th to have a whole extra slew of tariffs hit Canada and Mexico, which will cause retaliatory tariffs, and then those bad earnings reports. And then you'll start to see inflation numbers get worse. What does doozy mean?
It's a big one.
Great question. It's a doozy. Is like it's a bad one. It's
you
like
look at it and you say,
"Ooh,
that's a doozy."
Doozy means down. Doozy means down. And the other thing too is like this last series of inflation numbers we got were for February, but tariffs didn't go into effect until March 4th, which means we're not going to see what inflation really looks like plus tariffs until this next inflation report that we'll get like halfway through April, right? So April should be a pretty bad month from a data standpoint. And then after that, we'll see. Jerome Powell said that they're not going to do anything with rates until they get more data. But if that data is, hey, the economy is getting worse and also inflation is getting better, I mean, inflation going down is better, right? If you remove the impact of tariffs, if one or two of those things or both those things are happening, then the Fed will be pushed to cut rates sooner. And in my opinion, if you want the markets to really turn around, you're looking for two things, right? Two things that solve our biggest problems today. The first of which is inflation. If the Fed really looks at the inflation data points that they most care about, and it's looking pretty good, like they can cut rates again, that's going to be the first thing. So rate cuts at the Fed, or just even being optimistic about rate cuts at the Fed, right? That's going to be great. And the other thing is we need the tariffs to go away. We need trade deals to come in. And all it takes is one trade deal. And even if like all of the other tariffs are still in place, that creates so much optimism that, you know, we're rounding third base and we're going to home. That's a baseball reference. If you don't get it, just we're near the end. We're near the end. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel regarding the trade wars. And then, you know, we can move forward. And yes, Christine, they did say that they're planning on 2 rate cuts this year, but that's been the plan. It's been the plan for a number of months now. So there was no new update there. The market's already priced in 2 rate cuts in the second half of 2025. What some people were hoping for is that Jerome Powell might come out and say, hey, we might do 3 rate cuts, you know, because the latest inflation numbers were so good. That would have been a bullish change in the plan. But that's that. So Jerome Powell said, hey, we're still looking at 2 rate cuts of 25 basis points, which is 0.25%.
And if you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, you can call them bips.
You can call them bips.
Get 25 bips on that.
So again, this question was, what are my thoughts on re-entering the market? I have my Bitcoin. All of my altcoins have been pushed to stable coins and are just earning interest. And I do have some very large buy orders for Solana between $83 to $75. And that to me would be a very quick flip, because I think that if there's a flash crash, I think that range on Solana has a real good chance to bump up really quickly and potentially get me like a 20% flip in like a day or two if there is a flash crash to those levels. So I have buy orders there in a very big way, several 6 figures. And if it hits and it gets me 15% even, all of that gets taken off.
Yeah.
And I'll then continue to reassess the market. So it's just a quick trade scenario. I'm happy to set up some midterm swing positions again once the markets show me a definitive higher low and a potential base to then continue to build strength off.
And when you say swing conditions, you mean when it hits that higher low and then moves again, you will buy and sell accordingly to capitalize on some profit.
Yeah, but like midterm swing positions, I'm saying like I'm buying a position with the idea that I'm holding it for like 1, 2, 3, 4 months.
Thank you. And you also mentioned earning interest on USDC. Where are you earning interest?
Coinbase and Morpho. Because I have some on Coinbase because it gets me 4.65% because I have Coinbase One. And then I have some over at Morpho that's getting me about 8.1, 8.2%. But I don't have it all over at Morpho because having all of your stable coins or something in one place is just risky.
I just want to say to I'm Pro Zach says, y'all too bearish, man. Listen, when you're moving a 6-figure position into Solana because you've been diligent and stuck to a plan, you only need it to move 10 or 15%. It's not about hyping into stuff all the time. It's about building conviction and then executing something that's not a very risky play. You know, Solana's here to stay. Nothing has changed about the network.
And guess what? It can still give you 20% in a day,
which is nuts, you know,
mind blowing.
Which could be a very short-term thing, you know. And you might even re-enter if it decides again to go to. I mean, that's an easy play.
Well, the thing is that's my quick trade, and then you know, even if Solana ends up being at a higher point where I buy back in, I'm fine with that because I'll buy into with confidence. And I'd love to buy Solana for like a mid. There's not another platform crypto that I'm more bullish on than Solana right now.
Yeah, me too.
And, you know, like I think Ethereum is going to have its time to shine, but like it's really dependent on staking being turned on for its ETF. And when I look at Solana, its fundamental adoption and growth is just in such a better place right now. It is like its momentum is just growing far more. And it just had a futures ETF get turned on or approved today that gets turned on tomorrow, which to me is a guarantee of a spot Solana ETF coming in the future. And so, you know, if staking gets turned on for the Ethereum ETF at some point, that's going to get turned on for the Solana ETF at some point too. And I just feel like there's way more going for Solana as an investment potential than there is for Ethereum at this point. Was Solana the one with the weird commercial? If by the weird commercial you mean like the political hit stunt video, yes, it was.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, that was not a great look. But here's one thing too. When people had the take on the Solana commercial that like this is actually like genius, like it's great marketing, it's not. The reason why is yes, everybody was talking about it, but only people within Web3 were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. It was just us in our echo chamber, and we already all know about Solana. So like from that standpoint, like it was horrendous.
Yeah.
The only people talking about it were people who already know about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody outside of our industry really watched that commercial.
No, and then it just made everybody who already knows about you think worse about you.
Yeah, and it's one thing to have all press is good press philosophy. Bad press can be fine, but when your bad press is like gonna get you canceled, and there's levels to it, and it depends on the most relevant audiences. Who sees it is a big part of that. Will, can I ask you? We didn't plan this, but we have a friend of the show who's in the audience. She might have withdrawn. I'd want to shout out Tiffany if you're still here. We caught up the other day because Tiffany's in a new position at the OSAIF, the Open Source AI Foundation. And if not tonight, then we will definitely get her and some cool people there on the show. She works with Dr. Travis Oliphant, who invented Python, among other illustrious people and people who are very close to the technology right now that is playing a central role in not just our space, but everywhere. I'm very excited.
Another coding language that I tried to learn and then again proved to me that when it comes to coding, I have a smooth brain.
My brain's so smooth when it comes to
coding. Just slides off of it.
Turns me to jelly. Welcome to the show, Mr. Alex Popovich. How are you, brother?
Calling in once again from the road.
Calling in once again from the road.
While you're calling in, I have a question here that I think you and Evan both are uniquely qualified to answer, which is from I'm Pro Zach. Can someone who has no education, and he says specifically college education, get started in the Web3 space, and where would one start?
First of all, that's a dinger of a question. Good job. I'm Pro Zach. You're on the board. Alex, do you want to run with this first, or would you like me to go?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I think the short answer is yes, absolutely. There are plenty of examples of that. I just spoke to somebody who was kind of asking me in a different way, how someone like them could fit into this industry because they really wanted to, but felt like they didn't have any of the like applicable skills or anything like that. And I said, listen, if any part of anything that you do or are interested in touches information or data, you can be here. And I'm pretty sure that covers everybody. So the short answer is definitely yes. I think it really depends on what you're interested in because, I think right now this industry is looked at as being very obviously very tech heavy, very much like only a place for engineers, only a place for programmers or marketers, but really truly it's a spot and a place for everybody. So I would say the limits are kind of whatever you're interested in. And there is probably a way that this technology can touch whatever you're interested in is how I genuinely feel about it.
I don't have much to add except maybe some tips to help you get started because there are lots of ways. I think the most important and first way is to answer that question Alex asked you. What are you interested in? And then to start connecting with people in the industry, telling them that story, asking around and just seeing what you can learn from what they do. And also if they know anybody who does something that relates to you. You can be interested in investing or not, interested in building technical products or not, companies. We built a marketing company. You can educate others. You can expand the tools that are possible, or just use stuff. You don't have to be like mega rich or mega technical. It starts with connecting with people, because Web3 crypto, it's really like a movement that is using this particular technology, but all the time there are opportunities to use it without needing to know it. I think Crypto the Game was one. You can see in a lot of our content that I've talked about it recently. I've just been playing a reality game show competition called Crypto the Game that uses some on-chain metrics to bring mostly people who work in crypto together to play a survival game for a big pot of money. And it's very fun. And it's the best networking you could probably do for the cost. It's about $200 to enter, and you're working. Alex, it made me think of the Faceless Labs team back in the day, doing just putting stuff together, challenges, puzzles, and working well. It makes me think of us now when we're really trying to solve a problem together. And, that's a great way. I have a bunch of people now who have a favorable impression of me, that I've collaborated on projects with, who know how I work, and that I would be thrilled to work with in any capacity. Poe, our friend Poe On, is the community manager over at Aptos. She's leading that initiative. She's not the manager, she's the lead. And she made it to the finals. So she was on my tribe. We got to collaborate a ton, right? And it was just so cool to get to have that experience with somebody that we're going to work with. So Dolphins for Poe, and a point for sure. Poe gets a point always. And start connecting with people. Twitter is good. The Rise Up Discord is good. Anything else you'd say, Alex? I see you come off mute.
Yeah, I would say in terms of what to do and what to look into. The first step for anyone trying to do literally anything is to learn the jargon. You got to be able to talk to people about the industry. So just look up the Web3 Glossary project.
Look up Alex's videos also on like crypto terms explained simply. I mean, don't sell your own playlist short, but he has a playlist on his TikTok to help you learn about that jargon. And then also like Coinbase Learn is a great platform to just like learn more about the jargon and like some technical terms that you can get like a basic understanding of, and then take them to YouTube and learn about them more in depth, right? So increase your vocabulary and your knowledge, and then get involved in a community. I mean, hell, last cycle, but 2020, Alex and Mac Lorden made an NFT set, and Evan was in the Discord and was active in it. And they're like, hey, this guy's awesome. And then gave him a role on the project. And now that's evolved into Alex and Evan creating a media company. And then they found me on TikTok because I've been making educational content for a few years. And now I'm here as a part of this media. So like, there's so many different paths to success. And then we meet people who are engineers and, have that college education and, or even past that, and are just building stuff on chain and getting noticed by like a Jesse Pollock or somebody, or like a Mert at Solana, and there's so many different ways to get involved. And you can be technical. I'm not technical at all. I just think I'm a good communicator, and I find this stuff to be interesting and finance to be interesting. We have people who are really great at marketing skills and lead generation, all kind of working in this space with very different skill sets and backgrounds. So, there's a lot. Tiniest
correction. Evan was a founding member of the Faceless.
Oh, Evan was
there many months before the mint and yes, the Mac started the Discord. I was there as his moderator, and he and I started talking about how we could work together. And then he had the idea to kick this thing off and throw the question out to the group. And Evan was one of the very first people to volunteer way back project and everything.
We cooked it up together.
Story for the points that I was trying to drive.
Important clarification, but you're absolutely right.
You got the story right. We told a great story together. That's what we did.
I was like, I'll give myself a 75% then on the retelling of the story.
I'll give you half a ding, and I also have to ding Alex for a great answer. Good question. I'm Prozac. Really, join the Discord. That's the best way to start. You're looking for one-on-one mentorship, but the best way to get it is one-to-many. And you are one of the many, or the many who've yet to join us. And it's the
one
place.
Of the faceless many?
You might say that. And it's the place to get in touch with learners at all levels of experience, even a lot of people who work in the industry. So check it out. It's totally free. Hang out with us. Best place to ask a question and get an answer. We have another. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I'm sipping wine because my parents have a far more extensive wine collection than I do. So I like to take advantage when I can.
I would. No, and it's after dark. This is, sometimes fancy. Sometimes it's fancy after dark. I actually had something I wanted to share with you guys tonight. We didn't have any questions rolling that I'm not caught up on. So if you have a question, something you'd like us to discuss, an altcoin, a project, or pick you'd like our thoughts on, let us know. I'll be checking in the Discord and the altcoin grades thread. But I have to tell you something from the safety department of the Rise Up Morning Show. And I need to preface it by saying, I think everyone in our audience is a little bit terrified that one day they're going to have to come to the show or to the Discord, and they're going to have to look Alex in the eye, and they're going to have to tell him something that's going to make him say, I am so disappointed in you.
My dad can beat up your dad.
But today, it's that day for me. I have to tell Alex something that I'm ashamed to tell him. But it's important that we talk about it because it's going to help a lot of you. Alex, are you listening?
What did you do?
Well, I've prepared a visual aid to show you what happened. You remember last year? Last year, I was playing crypto the game, and I was signing a lot of transactions online and doing a lot of things and using good enough practice, a social wallet.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
With some walking around money. He knows how the story's going to end as soon as I've started it. So I'm out there in the open, and I happened, in my haste, to do what we always say you should never do, and I clicked a bad link. It was terrible. Actually, it was fine because I didn't have a ton of stuff in that wallet. Okay. So this year, I'm good. I practice good hygiene, good security. I've got a new computer. I'm 10 days into crypto the game, tired as hell. And I got an email, and I wonder if it's still here now because I'd like to show it to you and tell me what.
Be a Nigerian prince.
No,
Please be
not a Nigerian prince. It is a crypto company called BlockFi. Okay, check this out. I'm going to share my screen with the TikTok folks first, and then we're going to go to the big screen share. So we've got this email that appears to be from BlockFi, and that I check against their address at the bottom of this screen. I'll show this to you. Walnut Creek, California, and I'm thinking that matches with what I know. And I looked at the URL, but just real quickly, and you'll see that comes back to bite us. Hope this message finds you well. I have already, mind you, received a disbursement from BlockFi because I used their card. I was part of their lawsuit, got a payout, already taken care of it, but I'm not even thinking about it. I immediately read this message and proceed to the exit portal. I click the button. Okay. And this is the website.
Doesn't even look like a real button.
I know. Thanks, Will. I'm a bit of a boomer. This is the website that appears. And that's the first thing that I see, client.whatever.blockfi.com. Now, I have seen scams like this before where they use a client dot or another prefix at the front of a URL. Okay. Seen this before. I know all the signs. But I proceed to read the message, and I proceed to click the button at the bottom that says withdraw assets. And I want to show you, let me just see task at email.com. Withdraw assets. It prompts me to connect a wallet. Same wallet connect I'm used to seeing. And so I go to Trust Wallet because I think I've got some Bitcoin in this account, and I've got some Bitcoin here. And it's a social wallet. It's okay. It doesn't have a lot of money in it. It has this update available button. So I click the update, and now I'm thinking, okay, this is weird because I haven't had to update this recently, but also I have a new computer. I don't have the extension on my phone yet. Don't ever do this, people. Especially if you're interacting with a website you don't know. I clicked update, and then do you know what it does? It asked me for my seed phrase. And do you know what I did?
You gave it to them.
It was the perfect wallet login screen. It was the screen you see every time you log into a new extension. And unfortunately, when you import a wallet, if you're using an extension for the first time, whether it's Coinbase Wallet, MetaMask, whatever, you will have to import your seed phrase. And so I did it. And immediately afterwards, I was like, the hell am I doing? I looked at the MetaMask widget, and it looked a little off. And then I looked at the URL again, and I was like, oh, no. I went back to my search for their address, and I verified 2 or 3 threads right away that said, I got this email. Seems like a scam. And then I saw another update from BlockFi that was like, no, we've been paid out for a long time. And immediately, I went to my wallet on a different device, connected to revoke.cash. I hadn't signed any permissions. It didn't matter. I gave him my seed phrase, bro. And the little bit of Bitcoin that I had there, which was not an insignificant sum, but it's not my Bitcoin. It's like hundreds of dollars, was gone. Just like that. And so I am ready for your chastisement and ready to review with everybody. I'm talking to you too, people. The lessons that I missed that everybody needs to know. I do not want it to become a tradition that I get hacked every year when I'm playing Crypto the Game and play myself. So
now they know that you're at your weakest when you play Crypto the Game.
Oh my God. It's a trap. Yeah. So, Alex, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I like just like you get your wallet hacked and you're just like, oh man, Alex is gonna hate this.
My first thought immediately. Right after I've got to tell everybody on the show. I'm going to myself, man.
It's okay. I mean, yes, definitely several gwumps. And a deep sigh. But I mean, now it's tradition, dude. Now you have to get trained every year in Crypto the Game as part of the as part of the game. This is
now
it.
You have to.
Rolling into the finale, Evan gets drained, and the game ends, and that's it. But okay, so yes, stern look of disapproval. Never give anybody your seed phrase.
Ever.
Always assume that they are all out to get you. I would forego claiming things if someone was asking me for something like that. But what did you do right? Look, credit where credit is due. Social wallets. Use a social wallet for everything. Do not ever use the wallet that you are mainly using for custody to do social things, to connect to things. I would say that the reason I've never been drained is partly due to luck. I've gotten lucky. I mean, I'm skilled. I know what to look for, all the same things, but I've also just gotten lucky. I've connected to plenty of things that could have been sus, but I always make sure that I'm connecting to anything that I'm not 100% sure about with a social wallet that is not custodying like my assets or portfolio that has just some walking around gas money. So obviously, credit where credit's due. That's the way to do it for sure.
And I will tell you, I thank you for the credit. It's good to use a social wallet. It's good to double check everything. It's good never to enter your seed phrase. And the things I double checked were the email signature. I should have looked more closely at the address and verified it. I should have looked more closely at the website.
That button was ugly.
I will admit I fudged the button. The button was an easy flub. So learn from my mistake. And the best thing is, if you're ever unsure, don't hesitate to ask somebody. I was moving too quick, and I overestimated my own ability to sense the scam. This should show you that even somebody who's a very confident crypto user, you can always improve your self-custody, your security practices. This is a not a reason to be scared or concerned, but it's a reason to mitigate risks you might take by using social wallets, easy to spin up self-custody wallets that only interact with suspicious stuff online, and to use secure self-custody, preferably cold storage on a device like a ledger, to hold your most precious assets. And you never sign in with that to anything.
And I'll say too, like on the topic of, like I would call myself probably more conservative than most when it comes to connections or stuff like that. Like there are definitely airdrops that I'm sure I qualified for that I just didn't trust the provider of enough to collect or connect the wallet that I knew qualified for it. And in the one or two instances where like I wanted to take the chance, knowing that like I didn't fully trust it, but the airdrop potential was great, I empty my own wallets before I connect.
Smart.
So I have multiple social wallets, and if I'm going to connect to something, then I'll take a separate one, transfer assets into that one that's not going to be connected, and then connect the applicable wallet to the thing. But if something like requires me to have assets in a wallet to connect something, to claim something, I'm like, nah, you know what, you lost me. I'm going to sit this one out just in the interest of my own security.
Bob has a comment.
Guys,
go ahead.
I was going to say just that question from point 23, which is, what can you do in that situation? Can I use that wallet again? No, you can never use that wallet again, because once you give your seed phrase out, that wallet is corrupted for forever.
Forever.
Yeah, you got to make a new wallet.
Yeah. So just destroy it. Most wallets have a delete feature. You can find the instructions on YouTube, whatever. If miraculously you have assets that are still there, you should transfer them out, but you should transfer them to another social wallet. Don't send them to your cold wallet, because if you clicked a bad transaction, you did something else, you gave permission, those permissions can follow you, or you can be breached by doing that. So send them to another wallet first. But don't flub for me. That was it was rough. We do have a really good question Bob said here. So basically, a scammer could make an earn to play app, or a new wallet or whatever, then scam people's crypto accounts. Absolutely, Bob. So you should treat everything with skepticism. You should verify. Usually Reddit is good for that. Google searches are good for that. All the stuff I did worked, except for me.
The short answer is truly, if you can dream up a theoretical way that somebody could scam you, it can be done.
100%. 100%. And this is why Deal V says most people are afraid of crypto. Absolutely.
Yep. And that's another reason why, like, the ETFs, spot ETFs, not futures ETFs, spot ETFs are a really good option for people. If you're just interested in crypto as an investment vehicle, spot ETFs, those are for you. If you're interested in crypto as an investment, but also as a means to leave the financial system and have control over your own money to do with whatever that means to you, then the ETFs aren't for you and you need a cold wallet. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah. Option
for also, yeah, the SEC dropped the XRP case.
Woohoo! Where's my
a certain nobody app, which is their actual name.
Really quick, I'm gonna hop off and transition to the real setup, and Evan, I'll join you in the StreamYard here imminently.
Okay, great. It's the one that looks it's not well labeled, but it should say After Dark.
Okay.
See you soon. Well, that was the hardest thing I've done today, is tell Alex the truth. Will, thank you for supporting me in my time of need. And
I think you're an idiot, but
fact check yourself,
I
brother.
think you're so stupid.
You're so stupid. You're a loser.
You're a loser. Is that a sound clip? Do we have that?
No, but I need to clip it. I got to clip "You're a Loser." That's such a good.
Yeah.
That's such a good clip.
You're a loser. And remember, if you sell your dude, I loved making that video so much.
I did too. I was sad we didn't make one in East Denver, but honestly, we were going.
You didn't have the time for it, and Alex was driving me into the ground.
He was
in a positive way. I was just getting so my social battery was just being destroyed by Alex's social battery.
Yeah.
I was just being pummeled into dust, and then into the Earth's core, and then into the 9 circles of hell.
That sounds like a place Alex would love, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Prometheus said, I've got one for you. Let me know what you wanted to ask about. I just don't recognize the username, and we'll bring you up if we can. And if you've got a crypto question, you got a project, I was just checking the Discord, and we're caught up on questions and suggestions. Unless you've got one for us from the chat there while Alex returns, do let us know.
I need to go catch up on Discord questions too.
Well, and I know we've only got you for a little while, Will, so don't let me, kill all your time.
I was thinking my dad might be awake and hanging out, but he went to bed pretty quickly. I'll probably be on for another 10, 15 minutes or so before I go watch some of my mom's shows with her.
That sounds lovely. Do you want to, we've kind of touched on this already, talking about, state of the market in the next couple of weeks, months, whatever. Where is Bitcoin going?
Well, up and down and sideways.
And do you know where it's going next?
One of those things more than the other. In the short term, I have the charts directly in front of me right now. The stock market looks like it could maybe have a little bit more room to the upside because there's a gap a little bit higher up. The daily stochastic RSI, an indicator that measures momentum, is not in overbought territory yet. Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame looks very overbought right now. So over the next 8 to 16 hours, I would imagine Bitcoin's probably going to sell off a tiny bit. But if the stock market goes up, I think Bitcoin will go up a little bit more. Maybe it gets up to $89,000, and then I think the market has the potential to roll over again. But if it doesn't, it has a chance to set a higher low, and then maybe we did set a bottom. But I don't think so. But that's my opinion in the short term.
Well, how
Short-term.
can you tell it's overbought? And would pulling up I whipped open TradingView, but I only see 1 day, but it'll give you, the last 4 hours.
I will give away none of my secrets.
None of my
secrets. Yes.
Sounds like something Schmilliam Schmatzen would say.
Schmillian Schmatzen would say that. He's a devious, rich asshole. Hang on a second. I'm sharing. Get your white screen out of here.
Listen, man. Well,
somebody's gotta have their face on. Somebody's got to have their face on.
Be clear with your instructions for my friends who are watching on the other screen, and I'll try and follow what you're doing here.
Okay, so I'm looking at the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. And what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at the bottom, and here's an indicator that I like to use a lot. It is the stochastic RSI, and it is in overbought territory because it is above this blue box. Similarly, if it is below the blue box, it is oversold, and then typically you have a rally. And when it's overbought, typically it then sells off again, okay? So that's what we're looking at here. And so I look at the 4-hour chart, I can see that we are overbought, and as you can see, it tends to have a pretty good up and down and up and down and up and down kind of cycle. It's kind of what happens.
I just want you to know I'm trying to follow you so hard on TradingView on the other screen, and it is so not working. So keep going, but use lots of illustrative language.
And the last thing that I'll show here is that on the 4-hour chart, the candle that we have right now is very extended from key support here on these major exponential moving averages, which makes us believe that because we are overbought and price should come down, that we should probably come down and at the very least find some support on key levels of support that we have here. And that's why I can say with a fairly high degree level of confidence that we are about to go down over the next 8 hours or so at the very least.
Well, I've got to ask you a question, which is your chart looks nothing like my Bitcoin chart. That's what my Bitcoin chart looks like. Bitcoin USD on TradingView.
Well, if I channel my inner Schmillian Schwatzen.
Let's channel him.
Pathetic.
Oh my God. Schmillian gets a point for sure.
Schmillian gets a point. Yeah, I mean, you can edit your chart. You can go and
I just mean to say the price of Bitcoin. I'm looking at it on the last, I don't know. This might be a too narrow chart, but my God, it looks. Maybe I am way too.
Show me your chart. Show me your chart.
I think I'm on.
Show me the top left of your chart.
I think I'm on the 5. This goes to show you. Not everybody knows every tool. I don't know shit about TradingView. This is what we're looking at. Bitcoin US dollar. And I think I might be looking at 5-minute candles, if I'm being honest, or even 1-minute candles. Now that I'm looking at, look at that.
You are looking at 5-minute candles.
Jesus,
It automatically opens you up at 5-minute candles.
Why does it do that? Okay, so where do I?
No. Go to the top left, where it says. Can you zoom in? Oh yeah, where it says 30M to the right of the plus.
Oh,
up.
Yeah,
up,
yeah. Oh.
Up. Yeah, 30.
Look at that.
There you go. There you go, bucko.
Let's look at that 4-hour chart. Wow. Now it looks like your chart. Beautiful.
There you go. Awesome.
Listen, pal. I ain't no William Watson.
Schmillian Schmatzen.
Schmilliam Schmatzen.
Mm-hmm.
Legend has it, he has more Bitcoin than Satoshi Nakamoto.
Legend has it, he has a chin on top of his chin.
Okay, all right. We're wild. You were all zoomed into it, they said. Alex said he was coming back, but he might be rugging us. And I know you said about 10 minutes. So is there a topic that we didn't get to, or something that you feel is important to address before you got to leave tonight? I want to make sure you get a chance to say it.
No, I mean, we talked about Jerome Powell. I would like to reiterate again that the data in April is going to be really not good. It's going to be really not good. Earnings reports for the first quarter, they're not going to be good. Inflation data heavily impacted by tariffs for the first time. That's not going to be good, right? And tariffs expand on April 4th, which means in the beginning of April, expect more retaliatory tariffs as well, okay? There's going to be a lot of scary data coming out in the month of April. I'm going to make a video on this too, but you guys, you'll hear about it first. Obviously, you're here now. So just be aware. And the last thing I'll say is this goes to people in a bullish mindset and in a bearish mindset. And I am susceptible to it. I was susceptible to it in January when we were at highs, right? Is make sure you keep yourself open to hearing the opposite opinion and try to understand what data points they're using. Take that information in, chew on it a bit, make sure you consider it, and include it as a part of your strategy and plan as you decide if you are bullish or bearish on your own, right? So make sure you don't have yourself in an echo chamber. Listen to the other side. I'm still listening to people and reading people's stuff as to like why they're super bullish right now, even though I'm bearish. And I'm, continuing to chew and munch on that. I'm looking at the charts and I'm like, well, what if I'm wrong with my bearish stance? Can I find some bullish stuff? And I can find some bullish stuff and I try to take that and measure it against stuff that I find that's bearish. And I'm continuously trying to be like, am I wrong? Is there anything here that's telling me that like I think I'm wrong? There are a few things, but is it enough to outweigh all the things that I have included in my calculations so far? So continuously second guess yourself, continuously test your theories against new information, and keep trying to discover that new information as well. So yeah,
Beautiful.
don't put yourself in an echo chamber.
No. And Will, I appreciate you for making the complex clear. Here's a dolphin for you. You have 6 points right now and the lead in our competition. So I might just have to give you another point if it starts, people start creeping up on you, but thanks for playing. Hope your dad feels better, and we'll see you in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question, Alan. You touched us. Ooh, yeah. I've been
one more, baby.
I've been diving more into economic strategies for weakening and strengthening the U.S. dollar recently because I'm a big fat fucking nerd. So I want to talk about. So the question is here: won't the tariffs weaken the U.S. dollar, which is good for crypto? Here's the thing. So in short, yes. Why it is good for crypto, except it's actually not in this instance, but why it is usually seen as good for crypto is because all these cryptocurrencies are paired against the dollar. If the value of a crypto is going up, it's because it's strengthening against the dollar. If the dollar is weak, it's easier for cryptocurrencies to go up in value, right? So therefore, weak dollar equals crypto go up. However, you got to think about why is the US dollar weakening? The US dollar isn't weakening right now because we're printing a bunch of money, right? That's what was happening before. The US dollar is weakening because we want it to. We want the US dollar to go to, I say we, the Trump administration wants it to because they want a boost in US manufacturing, okay? Manufacturing gets a boost when your native currency is weakened, because think about it as a consumer. If you go to a country where your dollar goes further, you're likely to buy a bunch of goods. But if you go to a country where your dollar doesn't go as far, you're probably going to try to buy less goods because things are more expensive. It's the same in trade. If it is less expensive for you to buy goods from me because my currency is weaker now, the odds are you buy more goods from me. The manufacturing sector has a boom, right? So this administration is trying to have a weaker dollar to give a boost to manufacturing jobs. That is at the expense of the financial world and financial empire that we have, which benefits the most from having a strong dollar, because the stronger the dollar is, the more people want the dollar and they take loans, okay? That's the relationship between a weak dollar and a strong dollar with regards to your economic setup, balance between manufacturing and finance, okay? Reasons why the dollar is weakening is uncertainty with the US economy, as well as the ballooning debt of the United States. People are just starting to ask a few more questions now, is like compared to 10 years ago, of is the United States good for this, right? That's kind of the question, right? So, and there are a few other reasons also why the value of the dollar is going down. But that's it. It's also just like, the economy is getting weaker.
Okay, Will, before you run away, you really just have to answer one more question, which is where do you get your information from and how have you honed your ability to put that information together into analysis?
If you really read the comment section of Pornhub, you can really learn a lot. There's a lot of really good nuggets just like sprinkled in there.
Oh my God. I actually bet there probably are.
Sprinkle. But yeah. Hey.
The pit of despair.
That's where Will gets his info from. He gets it from the pit of despair.
Yeah. No, honestly, the more I get involved in this space, like somebody sent me a really fascinating thesis paper on Twitter about, it was like a breakdown of all of Trump's policies about and it wasn't taking one stance or another. It's just like, this will be the impact of this, which would be the impact on this, which would be the impact on this. And this is why it could work. This is why it might not work. It was just a fascinating thesis. So someone sent me that, and then that took me and sent me down a rabbit hole of monetary policy and the effect on trade and trade wars and deficits and things of that nature. And so where I then take that and run with it is you can actually go and get some preliminary answers through like a chat GPT. But then you can also go to investing.com. Investing.com is a fantastic source of information regarding finance and economics. And then you can also go and use Google Scholar as well to find, economic research papers on these topics. So you have to switch Google to Scholar and you get away from all of the clickbaity garbage and you actually get to, scholarly financial economic peer-reviewed papers. That's actually a very good source of information as well. And then, I would also highly recommend following a few economists on TikTok if you like videos. Chris Clark is very, very, very good. And he can inspire you some inspiration, provide you some inspiration as well for certain topics to kind of dig a little bit more into. And that's it. I mean, you can find information everywhere, man.
Thank you, brother. Go enjoy your night.
Pornhub.
Oh my God, I'm gumping you. Somebody's gonna go there.
Someone's gonna go there.
Yeah, I can't read. Some of the comments we got were fantastic, although I just can't read them out loud. Know that I saw them and they made me absolutely die with laughter. They were fantastic. Yeah. So thank you.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go hang out with my mama.
Beautiful. We love you. We'll see you again next time. Come back tomorrow and bye now.
Oh wait, I will not be on the morning show tomorrow. I can be on my phone. I'm gonna be driving up to Sugarloaf in the morning.
Okay, don't fret. If you can't make it, you can't make it. Enjoy your time and see you.
I'll try my best. But anyway, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Alex, when you entered the room, somebody said, Dark DeFi Daddy is here, or was it DeFi Master? It might have been. I might be confusing my name, my names. Dark DeFi Master, yes.
I think so.
That's a T-shirt.
Can you confirm my sound? Is it okay?
Sound confirmed. Yeah, you sound a little tentative, but your sound is confirmed.
I just sort of threw the dart at the soundboard and hoped that I have everything set up.
Yeah, I understand completely. I've been there.
Ideal.
If you've got a crypto question, you got something you want us to take a look at, let us know. It's me, your friend Evan, and Darth Crypto hanging out. I can't take credit for it. It was in the chat. Speaking of the chat, if you haven't joined the Rise Up Discord server, I got to tell you again, this is the best place to go if you want to connect with me, Alex, Will, all the learners in our community for questions, to double check something, to make sure you're not about to click a bad link and get scammed, and to just build community, hang out, and we say rise up. So,
and I'm
Alex,
glad that I'm here now so that you can see on my face the look. Don't come for me.
He's so disappointed. It's a heavy burden to bear.
Evan, I did this with you last year during Crypto the Game.
I know.
When you looked me and the audience in the eye and told them about how you got drained. And here we are again.
And that's just bullshit. My
And
dad
Evan, I
can beat up
swear
your
to God,
dad.
if you tell me this, if next year you're playing Crypto the Game, and you tell me, Alex, listen, I have to confess something to you. I'm just simply going to disconnect from whatever we're on, get in my car, drive to Memphis, and pant you.
Okay, deal. That sounds fair.
Evan's like, note to self, get drained a third time.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
We do have a good question in the comments that people want to hear from you on. And I will say you maybe could turn your mic slider up just a little bit because I think it's gating you just a bit up. Yeah. Like the threshold might be low on it. We can fuss with it later. But the question is for you, Alex, what made you mentioned on the morning show you were thinking about opening a position in Ondo. And
I did.
What made you think about that? You did. Okay. Do you want to tell us about it? Tell us about some of the things that led you there.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's a great question because there is a tremendous amount of thought that went into it that took me a very long time. So I don't add positions in anything lightly. I've done that before. I've gotten hosed. Not so much as to say that like I've purchased something and it's gone down because the Ondo that I bought is slightly lower.
What did you buy it at about?
That's a great question. I'll tell you exactly what I bought it at.
And while he's looking it up, it's ranged. It's been up above $1, $1.50. I think it might have hit a high of $2.
Yes.
And it's been down, to like 30, 50 cents.
Yes. Oh, okay. It's basically exactly what I did. It was just shy of 90. It's at 87.1 cents right now. So it's basically flat. Yeah. So that's and I'll touch on like why I decided at this point at this price as well. But the long and short of it is I did not have any exposure to it. I had never held it. I've been reading about it, the news, current events, updates, things that they're working on, adding. It's various affiliations with different pieces of the industry. How long have I been looking at this thing? A year.
At least.
Almost a year since we started discussing it. Kid's going to bed.
Night, Jordan.
And anyway, and the other big thing was just that I have a lot of exposure to things in the DeFi, like specifically in the DeFi space, and then Bitcoin. And I did not have any exposure to anything that I would consider to be on the institutional side. And I kind of wanted some, but I wanted to be really picky about what it was, because I didn't, just not like a big enough fan of enough of the corporate stuff to like go in that direction. So I added Ondo ultimately just because I had spent a tremendous amount of time thinking about it, learning about it. I watched it go all the way up to set that all-time high and then drop by about 60%, and just kind of said to myself, like, okay, that's a good enough pullback. I completely expected to go lower, at which point I will add more. I had like a number in my head that I was like, okay, based on the total size of the portfolio, I'm comfortable with adding this much. It cut into my normal like monthly allocations that I would normally just put into stables. And I took a slice of that and put it into Ondo and the rest into stables. And if it crashes further, then I'll take some of those stables and roll them in to lower the average cost a little bit and expand the position. If it bounces up from here, I will take profits. If we revisit north of $1 again, I'll scrape some off the top.
Alex, I can't remember if you were in here when we were talking about how a lot of pumps right now are temporary. They're short term.
Definitely.
While we wait for the market to really get some solid foundation and footing, you see something go up 10 or 20% in a day. Usually that's the day you or I might take profits.
Oh, 100%. If I see something do 20% in a day, I'm absolutely selling. I don't care at what point in the market we're at, honestly, because if we're in like deep bull and it's been running, I've already been holding whatever went up for a long time. I don't add new positions in a time when I consider like, I don't chase green candles with new positions. I might add some more into something like Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, something that like I'm holding long-term that I have like an established bag in with a take profit schedule and like my, all that sort of stuff. But that's why I waited so long on Ondo, because I was just like, nope, it's not good. It's just going up and up and up. And I, expect it to go lower from the time that I buy. Not comfy with this. There's better things that I can do because it was in discovery. It's new. Who knew where its top was going to be or how far it was going to be able to go? And I just needed it to have a little more hair on its chin before I tangled. There's a good question. A follow-up question was, without getting specific, how do you decide how much to throw? So for me, it's all about percentages. I don't, without saying specifics, because I don't have it's not a huge portfolio. Like, it's not a number that anyone would hear and be like, God damn. It's really not. I've been a starving artist in Web3 for a very long time. So basically what I do is I just take the total amount that I'm comfortable investing every single month, which is money that I plan on tucking away for a long time and I do not need. It's not money that like I think I'm going to need next month or the month after. I don't buy crypto with any of that stuff. So from there, adding a brand new position, literally I just took 10% of the total amount that I would put in over 3 months. And I allocated that totally to Ondo here. And took the rest of that and just put it into the stables. Because the only other thing I'm adding to is Bitcoin. And that's it.
That's
and
it.
Like I said,
Simple as that.
Super aggressive. I mean, 5%. I mean, if I see a 10%, I'm going to sell half the bag, expecting it to at least have a small correction, put it back in there. And all I'm doing there is expanding the position from more than I originally bought and lowering my average cost if possible. But that's it.
And I just want to zoom in on that because I think sometimes that takes some unpacking. When Alex says expanding his position, if he bought it at 87 cents per token, let's say he spent $100 on it. If it goes up to $1.05 or $1.10, then that's a 25-cent difference. And his tokens will be worth like 20% more than they are right now. If he sells at that price, he won't have $100. He will have like $125. And if it falls back down to 87 cents, he can buy in with $125, buying more tokens at that same price. And probably, Alex, I'd be willing to bet that, like Will was talking about with his Solana position, even if it stayed at that price for a little while or didn't go quite as low, if it went down to 95 cents, I bet you'd be comfortable buying back in because you probably wouldn't have moved on this if you didn't think it had significant potential over your longer time frame.
Yes. I believe.
Do you have a price target for that? Or like a time frame for it that you're thinking about? Are you just taking it one day at a time because the fundamentals look good?
Yeah, I never set targets. I'm at this point, one of the biggest adjustments that I've made to deal with any of this kind of stuff is to be purely percentage driven. I couldn't care less what the number is. I think exclusively about percentages, and anything over 10 is a win because that is the average annualized post accounting for inflation and debasement return of the S&P 500 index fund. And so if I take that as my baseline for an acceptable percentage return on an investment to an American taking a low risk investment, anything above that is me closing that gap between my 0 and my 20-ish% of inflation and debasement of the dollar, like purchasing power that I lose every year. And so anything I can do to close that gap is a win. And 10% is half the gap. So hell yeah, you bet your ass. That's really, I made it really, truly that cut and dry. And that's been the single biggest level up.
Can I tell a quick story about one night we were hanging out in the meme coin casino back when meme coins were really something. They were hot and fun. And every now and then we'd get a ping in the group chat that we share and somebody would have a little meme coin, or Alex would be hanging out in the meme coin casino, just, trading a couple bucks here and there. People seem to think he's allergic to them, but he just feels they have their place in time in his life. And that's not all the time. And I feel the same. And after one night in the meme coin casino, I remember you said to me on a phone call, we were working out some Rise Up stuff. And you said, dude, I just had this token, something Harry Potter, Sonic, Obama, Inu, $30 of it in my wallet. And I was watching that 1 second chart and it went up, it went up, it went up. And as soon as I made 30%, I sold it. I might have held it for, whatever. He said, dude, where else in the world can you make 30% in about a minute? I said, nowhere. And that's because Alex is not looking for that thing to do 500x, 1000x. Could it? Sure. Some people, that's how they play the meme coin, not how Alex plays. Some people are into, Ondo because they're looking for that 2 or 5 or 10x down the road. And Alex probably bought it because he sees the potential for it to grow in a big way. But Not worried about that.
Hondo,
The
not
percentage
Harry
thing.
Potter Obama Sonic.
Yeah, right. Sorry, HP. I just think that's such a good example for people to hear because it's a realistic expectation. And I love the way you frame the game. You just got to beat inflation. Any trade at that threshold is a victory. And when that's what your parameter is, man, there's so many shots you can take and they're easy. You're not shooting at a 500-yard target. You're shooting a bazooka at a tree in front of you. It's easy to hit that.
And because, like I said, the number one thing that has burned me more often than not has been, looking at something and hearing people say, "Oh, for sure 10x," and me being like, "Yeah, I want 10x."
right.
Of course I do. Who doesn't, right? But knowing that never happens.
I buy too late for a lot of 10x's. I buy a little late because I like to take my time, but I look for percentages also. And I set price targets because that's how I kind of evaluate a company. I think, okay, is the incentive for this company to grow good? If it does, what kind of business are they in? What problems are they solving? Who's their audience? How much are they going to spend on this problem? How much attention do they have? Is this company worth that much? And that helps me kind of get a figure of whether I think it's overpriced, underpriced. And then I can, have expectations accordingly. Plus, the macro picture. The pump that happened today is, probably on its way out already for most tokens. Quick and temporary, not attached to it.
Yep. Hey, guess what? I scraped a bit. I have more stable coins now than I did when it started.
100%.
Because, like you said, it's temporary.
Somebody asked a question about where do we trade meme coins? And I will say I mostly would use a Telegram bot. Our preference at the time was Banana Gun. I've also used BonkBot. I have used the website app PhotonBot. And we would just have Deck Screener open. Maybe Twitter, I don't know, whatever. Mostly just Deck Screener, though. Looking at the newest meme coins. That's how we like to play the casino. And, it's even better with friends. Alex says to me, "Oh, my God, look at this one." Pings it over to me, and it's got a name that just makes me spit because I'm laughing so hard. And, we're trying to figure out, is it a rug pull? Is it what? It's just fun. Quick and easy fun.
It's just
away.
sitting at the slot table.
Yeah.
At a slot machine with your friends. I expect to lose every single penny, which is why, like I say, if you have the opportunity to stand up from the meme table with more money than you sat down with, you just won. And you won more than the overwhelming majority of people. And don't let anybody sell shame you into taking your winnings and walking away, because it's a player versus player arena.
And I want to be clear, we're not advocating that we don't make that's not like our trading strategies to go regularly put a bunch of this money into meme coins.
It's been 6 or 7 months since the last time I even looked at it.
Even thought about it. We have some really good follow-up questions here I'd like to ask.
I wrote down a couple really good ones too, yeah.
Okay, let me scroll back to them, and when I get to one you've got, tell me. The first one is an observation from our friend Solom, who says, "Are you sitting around a table like a D&D game when you do it?" And I say,
this is a gross misrepresentation of
maybe
facts.
we are. And Truth Seeker says, "I'm scared to use a bot." There's no real instructions to use. What do you say to that, Alex? Do you feel like that's
First
true?
Of all, yeah, in general, I would say that the UX is pretty bad with almost all of them. That was some of our feedback when we did a very brief show sponsorship with Banana Gun, and that was one of the pieces of feedback, was just that I'm excited to see the UX improve because it's rough, and it's very I find it very prohibitive for someone new, even though new people should be using those things, because otherwise, like we talked about, was it the other day we were talking about MEV, which is a phenomenon in crypto. MEV is an acronym that stands for maximal extractable value, and it's also the genre of a very specific type of attack that happens against people traditionally or typically who are trading meme coins. Usually when someone is just new, and so just using their Phantom or Soulflare or their MetaMask or their whatever wallet connected to a basic DEX and just trying to kind of raw dog the transactions, just submit them manually and whatever. You've got people with a lot more advanced software than you watching you submit those transactions with bots and front running you, meaning that would be the same thing as Evan seeing a thing that he wants to buy and slowly starting to hand his money to the cashier. Me being oh, nope, I got it. And then jump in there beforehand. And then Evan having to go back to the shelf and pick up the next one. The one that he picked up was not the one on a 10% discount. It was the one at full price. So, it's worth messing around, but the same rules apply that we were talking about earlier with Evan and his wallet drain that he fell victim to. Do not load those wallets up. I don't trust them enough.
No,
It's just stupid.
We saw a pretty good demonstration of the fact that Banana Gun has at least decent security. They had a small exploit that they were able to chop, and no one's wallets were exposed, no keys were exposed, which was great. That was reassuring, but I still would not store money in there. And if I like hit a meme that won, all of it gets pulled out.
Yeah, somebody asked, so you don't hold them long term. And if we're talking hanging out in the meme coin casino, I don't even leave it overnight. It's like going to a literal casino. You pick your chips up, cash them out when you're done.
I don't leave it to go to the bathroom. I'm like, Evan, I have to pee, sell everything. I'm gonna come back.
I do have to tell you, I did keep one overnight, or maybe two, and usually it doesn't work out. But I kept a token overnight one time, and it did like 600%, and I was lucky. I kept a token 10 other times, and it went to absolute zero. So,
but it's a gamble. It's a gamble. It's a
totally a gamble. Totally a gamble, and it depends on the token you're buying. When Alex is talking about Ondo, he's not really buying that to flip at one time. He's buying it to build a position in it with the expectation that because the macro picture is good, because Ondo's business is going well, and many things, Solana is that way for us. The company's building in a big way, has a lot of mind share, is at a discount right now, and we expect it will be around in a year, and that when economic conditions improve, they'll improve for crypto.
Yeah. So that was, you kind of hit those were the criteria basically. I was like, okay, I expect this thing to go down. Ding, check.
Yeah.
If it does, what kind of level of faith do I have that it will come back? Pretty high. It's a risk, but it's a calculated risk that I was comfortable taking because of the affiliations that they're making, the connections, the development, the expansion, the growth of TVL, the increase in volume, the number of assets that are looking at being placed there, the different regions of the world that have more interest in that sort of product, that are growing, like all these different things, contributed. Plus, we got through some hype, right? Like, some of the exchange listings that would have caused more extreme volatility had come and gone. It was more of a household name. It's more widely accepted. I was more comfortable missing out on like a quick spike and a flash crash in the beginning to watch it establish a more secure foothold in the space.
Totally. That's what I mean when I say we buy things a little bit late. We're not looking at stuff that like you gotta buy today. If you hear about it, it's too late. That's a meme coin most of the time. Solana, it's not too late. You can watch them build. A lot of good projects are like that. And I don't mean that it's easy. You can do it every time. When I say you can make 10%, it's not a guaranteed thing. Alex and I, we work here and we know a lot of people who work here too. And we're not special, but we have invested a lot of time and attention to really get to know. It's like watching a soap opera. When you sit down, you're like, oh my God, this is really interesting. Who's that guy? Who's his girlfriend? And somebody who's been watching it for 5 years can tell you, oh, well, that's so-and-so. You know what I mean? They know everything about it. Not because they're... Yeah.
We got to tell Amy to get like the next project for the Solana TV, summer TV thing.
Oh.
Would be a dramatization soap opera with characters playing the roles of major altcoins.
There was a commercial. Somebody did that, and they dropped it to remind folks of there are crypto commercials after Solana, and I can't remember what it was, but it was. I'll post it in the Discord. It was fantastic. On this subject, before we get away from this and go on to another question, this is a great question. I just want to say, if you're intimidated about using a bot, it's okay. Don't worry. Nobody's going to pick on you for that. But I would encourage you to check out, for Banana Gun specifically, we did an overview tutorial that just kind of looks under the hood, kicks the tire, shows you how to set it up. And their documents on their website are actually quite good. Yeah. And the bot itself, if you type it's like texting. You can type /help and it'll pop up a list of commands. And when you hit one, it'll say, this is what this command does. It's not going to execute something without you being prompted first and given a choice. Do you want to do this or not? With a little practice and starting with small amounts, you can learn to use it. And that's a good skill to have and to have confidence in. So let us know what questions you have about it, but check out the Banana Gun video in the Web3 101 playlist on YouTube. We had a question earlier tonight from Salim, our friend, who said, what do you think about HBAR? And we just got that question again. How about SUI, Chainlink, HBAR? I had hinted that I was, that sounds so teasy, that I was planning to accumulate some Link, doing what you did with Ondo with Link. because Chainlink is an institution. It's like Denny's. You know what I mean? It's going to be here. It's not like Denny's, but you get what I'm saying,
All right? Quick, call the Chainlink Foundation. We've got their marketing slogan. Welcome to
Chainlink is like Denny's. Honestly, they probably would sell more crypto that way. I'm just being honest, but they are everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're in World Liberty's pocket, and they're at a discount right now. Will they go back to at least some semblance of what their price was before? Absolutely. Unless, everything else goes to 0 too, is how I feel about it. So I might open a position in that. I don't know about HBAR. I don't know about SUI though. To me, SUI is a wait and see token, and HBAR, I kind of feel like it's a dino coin. It's a pupo until proven otherwise. Ponzi until proven otherwise. Not a Ponzi outright, but you know what I mean? They've got more money than God. They don't need to go. I mean, Crystal, our friend, works there. I got to play Crypto the Game with her. Loved it. Bullish on a lot of people who work there. Bullish on the idea of the tech. The price action could be interesting because it's shown it reacts to the market, and maybe, buying low, selling high, and saying bye-bye is okay. I don't know. For me, it's kind of a dino though. Is that how you feel about it?
Sort of, not really. I will say one of the connections that we made at East Denver was the VP of engineering from Hedera.
Oh, and would love to talk to them. And honestly, I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah, he was interested in coming on the show. It was great. That was a great moment because I was introduced to him as a TikToker, and you could see it in his eyes that he did not want to talk to me.
When people introduce us like that, or like Evan's an influencer, I'm always like, bearish.
I like the word influencer because I'm genuinely trying to influence better critical thinking in this industry.
Too.
So
I just don't like the picture it conjures.
No, I know, but the onus is on someone in our position to like make the word mean something that's not cringe and disgusting. But no, it was, and that was the cool thing. We then ended up speaking for over 30 minutes, and he was really excited about it. And I think had one idea in his head, and then it changed, and he realized that I was genuinely interested in what he was working on and stuff. So we'll get him on the show and ask the questions. I told him exactly what I think about it. That like in the beginning, I was an early holder, held it in 2020, 2020, yeah, 2020, and that had kind of a similar like feeling to the Ondo thing, but just like with no research, just like really thought I was onto something big, and then I round tripped it. It did huge numbers. Didn't sell a thing of it. Blasted it as it was climbing like a twerp. Round trip that whole thing back to the bottom. Never looked back. The governance council kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I was in my pure DeFi era, and I was just like, no, there's no value in this. I don't like this at all. And then of course, the same things are true. No one was building on it. There was nothing moving. I started to kind of learn about those metrics, and all that sort of stuff, and then had the attitude like, well, if I don't think it's valuable, it's never going to do anything else. And then it just like, exploded. And I was like, well, shit. Okay. Could have made my money back and at least taken profits, but didn't. So I just kind of left it alone because I was just like, I'm not involved in the ecosystem. I don't know that much about it. And that's where I would place myself now. No real opinion because I don't know enough to have a real opinion on it, to be very honest.
Yeah. I also would like to refresh my opinion on it, and I can't think of a better way to do it than with people who really are. I'm going to send Crystal the calendar and just tell her, like, listen, we miss you on TikTok, and we absolutely need you on our show just to chill. If you don't know Crystal, not Crystal Lee, she's fantastic. And when I was playing Crypto the Game, hers was the first face that I saw when they assigned my tribe, and I was like, hell yes, I'm going to play with Crystal. And we went all the way to the end. She was fantastic.
She's great.
And hey, real quick, I want to have on our one of our shows, I don't know if it's morning or evening show, I want to have an episode with my Silly Friends Alliance to debrief and just introduce them to the audience, because Po-On is one of my Silly Friends Alliance. Matthias is a killer puzzler. Brian Smokes is this guy he's a founder of Pistachio Finance, solving some big problems. Like such cool people that I got to collaborate with. Crystal.
Dude, listen, I think I was just having this conversation with someone who was trying to tell me that they didn't have any, they work in crypto, they didn't have anything to talk to TikTok about. It's like, dude, first of all,
what you do?
Yeah, because it's interesting to hear the real human beings that work here that can like humanize the whole thing. And there are tons of people who are just like curious to learn about the whole thing and are not looking to just be relentlessly shilled a bunch of nonsense. way more than you think.
And they're also learning just like you. I can't tell you how many times for one of the puzzles in Crypto the Game, I saw the phrase on Twitter and in our chats, dude, no one knows how to read a blockchain explorer. From people who really, really work here. I was like, okay.
No, dude,
it's funny.
That's another thing that is really worth pointing out, and another reason you should be hesitant with who you get gospel from. Because really, truly, the number of people that I know in this industry is gigantic. Couldn't possibly name them all or think about how many people there are. The number of people that I could confidently say like are good at navigating an explorer or would be able to like have a conversation about zero knowledge
consensus. Whatever.
Name 3 consensus mechanisms and tell me why they're different. It's like 5 people that I know personally. Like there's not that many.
And that's not to be like elitists, we're just regular guys too. There's tons of stuff we don't know, but it would shock you what you're intimidated of and what it actually is.
Yeah. And the part that I would be elitist on is just to say that there's a surprisingly small number of people who are like super curious to the point where they realize that they don't know something and then don't go look it up. And you find that 99% of those people are the content creators that just been here for years, posted 1,000+ videos, never thought to crack a book. And that's wild.
Mm-hmm. But also, I don't think they know the book. It's
Google's free.
Oh,
Alex, it's their fault. You're
roasted me.
You're too gracious.
You roasted me. I had something I wanted to tell you, but it's escaped me. Really quick, didn't HBAR and ICP join? U4TM Radio wants to know. No, they didn't. They may have worked on something together, but they're separate entities.
Yep.
Separate companies. Okay, I lost my train of thought completely. Do you have a question? you have a question? Ask us. What could possibly go wrong? I've had such a long week.
Forgive me for not remembering the usernames that asked both of these, but one of them was a really good one.
Okay. Oh man, you just really took a shit on that other person. One of them was a really good one. Somebody has some explaining to do.
Sorry. That came out wrong.
Man.
They're both good, which is why I wrote them down. The first one was really good for one reason. It was, and I appreciated it because the question came with recognizing that there's other stuff on Solana besides the memes. If the meme interest dries up, can the chain keep, can it stay relevant? Is it still strong? I would say yes, but the numbers have changed, and you can see that in real time on the llama.
On the llama. Oh man, you're gonna make me screen share?
Ask the llama, and you shall know.
DeFiLlama.com, baby.
So I'll show you exactly what's changed. So right here is, I think this is up. Yep. Okay. So this is the default homepage. It's the overview. Coming to TikTok shortly. There we go.
There you go.
Jay Heat, good question. We will touch on that one. Okay. So this is the overview for Solana specifically. You're just going to want to click on them right here, and here you can see their own little page. So we can see several things. This chart right here is visualizing TVL. So obviously it's going down right now.
All the value and all the protocols on Solana over time.
Yeah. Which perfectly mirrors the decline in overall TVL industry wide right now, which is also declining.
Yeah, everybody's got a chart like that.
That's not unique to Solana. That is everybody right now. But one thing that you can check that not many can boast. So app revenue, total revenue earned by the apps on this chain excludes stablecoins, liquid staking apps, and gas fees. So
could you zoom in a bit?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good. Is that
perfect?
Okay.
It's perfect.
Okay. $3 million today.
Ooh, a good day.
Was made in pure revenue by applications on Solana. 3 weeks ago, this was 7 million.
Yeah.
And you can actually see right here, they have their own, they have come here, zoom out. There we go. Let's take off TVL. Here is, oh, geez, that was, okay.
I was way zoomed in. I was like,
it's way zoomed.
We looked right in his mouth.
Okay. So, I mean, here's a single day, January 18th, 2025, $36 million in app revenue on Solana earned. So down since then, but still in the millions and millions. Take a guess at like what some of the other ones are, right? Like look at Ethereum.
Like Ethereum?
Ethereum's at 1.1 million.
I know it's the TVL leader though, but 1.1
TVL leader, but barely over a third of the on-chain app revenue. I will say though that I find it to be it's a little bit of a different conversation because so much of this TVL on ETH is in a liquid staking protocol, and that is excluded from this particular revenue number. So,
and it's also a tremendous chunk of value, not just for Ethereum, but that's like a big. It's the most decentralized secure network, so that's a lot of money.
This guy talks shit about XRP but promotes Pi. Dude, I don't know who you're talking about.
Who is that?
Ugh.
Listen, pal. If you want to talk about Pi, I have a video probably 5 or 10 back, and it will give you my scoop on it. It is worth your time.
But if you like just this, so this is what I'm, drive the point home. Like, is there still strength on Solana as a network? Given that luckily memes are starting to retreat a little bit. Binance Smart Chain, $636,000. So what's that? A sixth of Solana's?
Yep.
Even though the TVL is almost identical. Tron, $37,000. Base, 622. Barachain, 18 grand.
Whew. Yeah.
Arbitrum, 81 grand. Sui, 55 grand. And we're comparing this to millions. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There is still strength. And honestly, the culling of the casino and the loss of some interest there, the desire to highlight different things and more purposeful applications of the network is good. It's good. It's worth suffering on the app revenue and all that sort of stuff to repivot the focus over there. But absolutely strength there. Really, really good question. And that's exactly how I would look that up and keep track of that. And then the
DeFiLlama.com.
DeFiLlama.com. Shout out. Not sponsored, but like Evan said, hopefully we can donate to them someday. They are they do not collect any money for their services. You can donate though. If you find value in what they do, you can send them a donation.
And you can support them by using Llama Swap. And fun fact, I've actually never used Llama Swap. Meaning to try it because I want to support them.
Yeah, no, shout out. They get free promo forever because they are super valuable. They provide so much data. It's so helpful. I use it literally every single day, and it's all free. Not a single pay-gated feature anywhere on that platform. It's amazing.
So what was the second question?
Second question was about a mindset adjustment for wanting to add something to a position, even if it's up now, and your average cost would be increasing if you were to buy. So example.
Good question.
My average cost in Bitcoin is about $48,000. If I add more now, my average cost increases. Every time I add a little bit on my weekly or monthly purchases, my average goes up. Ethereum, my average is about 980, creeping up. There's really no easy way to say. You just kind of have to square that. But you need to still think long term and make sure that you're having that conversation with yourself every time you go to like make the purchase. Like, is this still something I'm comfortable with? Do I still feel good about putting money here? Do I still have the same conviction that I did before? If not, what changed? Why did it change? What do I need to adjust? Am I looking to scale out of a position now? Am I just buying it because everyone says to, and because technically it's a dip, even though it's still higher than my average? These are all things that I would be asking myself, and I do every single time I run down my little gut checklist, every time I buy anything. Am I sure? Yep. Do I feel good about this? Yep. Where do I think we're going? Yep. How long am I looking in the future? Years? Good. Send.
Mike has a great remark here saying, if you bought a New York City apartment in 1776, good deal. If you bought a New York City apartment in 1976, still good deal. I would be inclined to agree. That's helpful. Did old boy get liquidated today? Who's old boy? You talking about me? You talking about me? I don't know. I didn't get liquidated. You got
drained though.
I got lightly drained.
He's a wiener.
Speaking of wieners, Mike is in the chat. Shout out, Mike. Congratulations on becoming a finalist to Crypto the Game. Truly incredible. Great season. And not stopping, can't stop, won't stop. If you're into March Madness and you want a clever twist on it, I am going to show you. You need to check out Mike's Twitter page. He's in the community. He's hanging out all the time. He's got a cool way to participate and tell a novel story at the same time. Win a little money for a low entry fee. It's a lot of fun, and you can find it. I think we've got if I haven't posted the link in the Discord, I will, but we've tweeted about it. I've tweeted about it. I think Rums has too. But March Madness, baby. Thanks for hosting. Alex, it's about that time when we take our dogs and ponies into the sunset for the night, but I would love to answer, another question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom. If you got one, if not, I'll give a commercial and then we can vamonos.
I would like to answer Jay Heat's question about decentralization.
Oh, yes.
An interesting one.
Sorry, Jay Heat. I was going to rug
you. Was going to rug you. You're welcome. Evan couldn't wait to rug you.
Couldn't wait.
So the question is, and I'll give just a tiny bit of background, just because this is a multi-part question that he's been kind of cooking and working on for a little bit as he's scheming and plotting a potential project that he's interested in bringing out of the vague idea stage into semi-baked stage. So the question is, about decentralization and the relationship between something being decentralized. Or I should say the dichotomy between decentralization and a company being, organizing the thing, whatever. I think honestly, maybe annoyingly, this is sort of a philosophical conversation.
Annoyingly, my brother.
Well, just because
music to my ears.
I know sometimes when you stray into that realm that it can get a little bit tedious, but to keep it short.
Well, don't make it tedious.
He asked this morning, what, or yesterday, what constitutes centralized? And my answer that I made sure could fit in one TikTok live comment was any entity, authority, or figure having significant influence over the behavior of a thing, I would call having elements of centralization. Here's an example. Cardano technically is quite decentralized in terms of the nodes and the number of validators and where they are and allocations and token holders and all these sort of metrics that we call part of the decentralization conversation. But Charles exists. And if tomorrow Charles were to tweet, never mind, this shit sucks, I'm out, it would crater. Even though he's not, the biggest whale, or, he wouldn't be moving things on chain necessarily. Vitalik. If Vitalik came out tomorrow and was like, never mind, guys, I missed. This is terrible. Let's just wrap it up and do something else. If Gavin Wood came out tomorrow and was like, hey, guys, Polkadot ain't it. I'm sorry. I give up. These figures existing add elements of centralization to otherwise relatively decentralized things. Ethereum is decentralized. Vitalik has significant influence over that network and could definitely impact it in a pretty big way if he really wanted to, if he went rogue. So I think that you basically just have to be cognizant of the fact that if you have a company or an authority or an entity or a public figure or somebody associated with a project that can have influence over it, you have an element of centralization, even if technically on paper you are decentralized because of the way that control is split up, wallet access is split up. You're using multi-sigs for important transactions, all this sort of stuff. All those things can be true. But if you have holders holding a fungible liquid asset that can be influenced by the court of public opinion, you've got a centralization problem that you just need to think about. So,
Alex, you didn't say it this time, but you often say centralization is a spectrum. And what you've highlighted there, and that I just want to call two more examples of is you can have centralization of influence. You can have centralization of supply. If a few people or whales hold more than the people who don't hold it, you can have centralization of consensus. If one company owns or influences a lot of the computers, the devices that perform the work of mining or processing transactions, making the blockchain work, then you have centralization of infrastructure. So it's not a one size fits all solution. And therefore, you should be prepared to evaluate each case differently and know that it's a dynamic thing too. It's like companies.
Yeah.
As they grow and evolve and change, it may change. Alex, do you know you're not on TikTok anymore?
Yeah, my phone just
rugged
how
me.
about battery saver mode? Let's close every app.
Okay, Jay Heat said, okay, that makes sense. So there's no way around it when structuring a company. No, not true. Not true at all. I would say there are many ways around it. And to be clear, one thing that can help, since I know this is what you're talking about, Jay Heat, is the actual legal structure of your company. You might say, Alex, I don't know, fact check me, is a sole proprietorship. Fact check yourself, brother. Is probably the most centralized form of a company, or some kind of like S corp where one person owns a lot of the shares. But you could have an LLC that's actively managed by members. You can incorporate ways over time for that LLC to become something like a DAO. There are legal structures in places like Wyoming to officially allow you to tokenize ownership of your company and open the sale of tokens that represent literal shares, and maybe carry with them some responsibility to participate in governance or directing the company to people that might want to buy them on a market. There are many different ways to decentralize many different parts of your company. If I was the only guy who got on the radio at the Rise Up Morning Show, it would be very centralized. It's still kind of centralized because we host it from my platform, but Alex, Will having a voice, more people having a voice, more people participating in the community. Hopefully that makes it less mine or his or Will's and more ours, so it's different and it changes over time. And it really depends on what your goals are. It's very hard, Alex, wouldn't you say, to get a company off the ground where it's just like total decentralized 100%.
And
that would suck.
To be very honest, I don't recommend that at all.
No, I don't either.
It's one of the initial things that drew me to Polkadot as an ecosystem was that and Base did the same thing, by the way. They leaned into centralization from the get-go and basically said, listen, there's nothing decentralized about this right now. Nothing. And here's the plan to walk towards that end of the spectrum. Here's the steps we would like to take. Here's when we would like to take them. Here's what we want to see before we get there. Before we hand the reins over. Cardano did the same thing. It's very difficult to build something decentralized from the jump and have it go the way that you want, because the people who you give control to, your user base, they're not going to do what you think they're going to do. They're probably not going to do what you want them to do. They're going to rebel. They're going to find ways to break things. And you can run with that, but you can also mitigate for it by starting off centralized, being very transparent and open about the fact that you are currently centralized and here's your plan and here's your desire to move that way down the spectrum. Base did such a good job with the wording on the website. I actually made a video about it when it first went live, and I screenshot their front website exactly where they basically said, we are centralized as fuck. Here is what we would like to do. Here's the plan. Now we execute. I thought it was the best way I've ever seen it worded. And I'll give them credit for that forever. It was really good.
Yeah. And you can make it decentralized in the process. That's right. It's not one or the other. It may change over time. The influence, I will say, historically, beyond crypto, beyond companies, the influence is for people and institutions that have power to do things to keep it. So be aware of that. And it's all about incentives. Design good incentives to support the structure you want to build. Those structures give life to the values of your organization. It's how you walk the talk. You put it in the code, you put it in the constitution, and then do it, whatever. We had another question that I wanted to answer just very quickly. And now I'm sorry, I can't find it. I think I instructed someone to go to the Discord. And if that was you, oh, you do? Okay, good. The Discord is on the screen. I just wanted to let everybody know. So take a screenshot before we get out of here. And Alex, tell me what's the funny question.
The funny question, it's a great question, but the answer I think is funny. So the preface is that this is my opinion, and Evan, I'm very curious if you share the same opinion. So the question was, okay, heard all this decentralized talk and whatever. Who's doing this well?
Who?
And I know exactly where my mind went at first.
Okay, tell me, because I gotta say, I don't have somebody who's immediately in mind.
Okay. I hear it before I say it. So, as the kids say, let me cook.
Okay.
Memes. Like Pepe and Bonk. And it's specific memes. Anonymously launched, successfully CTO'd memes. Because name any other crypto. Just anything else. And I'll tell you who the central point of authority is that holds significant influence over it. Bitcoin. Obviously decentralized. What happens if Michael Saylor starts selling?
Sure. Or Satoshi wakes up.
What happens if Dennis wakes up tomorrow and he's like, guys, never mind. I'm all in on EOS. Did you see that headline this morning? That was like an exploit. It was an exploit happening on EOS with some wallet address thing. And I just remember thinking, and then the comment section validated me. It was like, wait, there's still wallets on EOS. It was being exploited. But yeah, so, but I think about something like Pepe. Who would it be? Who would the centralized authority be? There's obviously whales. There's big holders, but like no one notorious that pops into my head. Every other big one's got a foundation or a company or a public founder. Tron, Justin Sun.
Yeah, right.
Hedera, the governance council. What happens if half the governance council members decide we don't want to be on this anymore? Even so much to say, remember when Polygon launched the Odyssey program with Starbucks, and then Starbucks left?
Absolutely. That was bad.
That was a centralized Web 2 company that just used a service for a little bit and then decided, nah, we're going to do something else. Hurt the project.
Yeah.
I think when you expand out and you think about it kind of in the broad, the broad view of like what is central authority maintaining some kind of power and influence over a cryptocurrency or a project or an ecosystem. I think, and I'm going to think about it more because this was kind of my gut reaction, but I think that the anonymously launched CTO'd memes that have been around for a few years are really the only true example. And I think that's really funny.
Emphasis on around a few years for sure.
Yeah, there's like 6 things on that list.
Because most would not. I would agree with that definition, but most of them would not make that list for me. That's fair.
I most like 99.9999999%.
And I mean, I would also say if you move a step inward, I think there are some DeFi protocols that are meaningfully decentralized. I think there's a lot of stuff that's sufficiently decentralized, and there are some DAOs out there that are absolutely wild and crazy and like way left field, super decentralized, maybe even more than meme coins. But they're, I don't know. It's such a spectrum. It's an interesting question. Okay, real quick.
It's a fun thought experiment, and I encourage everyone to think about it because I guarantee there's things I'm not thinking of, and I'm going to chew on it a little bit more, and fine. But I'm sure that you're right. I just know, like, even the DAOs have public members who contribute to the DAO who could abandon it and leave, and that could hurt it.
I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Centralized, and then they're spiritually centralized. They both matter.
I don't know that it's dark enough for that yet, but when it is, we'll tell you about it. We had a lot of good questions come through that we just don't have time to answer, but that we would love to answer for you in the Discord server. It is a great place to learn with others just like you at all levels of experience. And we would love to see you there. It's the place that it's easiest to get a hold of me and Alex, but I do want you to know, and Schmilliam Schmatzen, William Watson IV, all our friends. It is important that you know, though, before we go, that these are our only profiles. They're our only accounts, okay, on TikTok. And if you want to find our other legitimate accounts, you need to visit theriseupmorningshow.com. It's easy to find. And at that site, you can see all of our official links. You can find the link to join the Discord. If you don't remember, discord.gg/riseup. And if you need a tutorial because you haven't joined one before, then we've got that there too. We've got so many other resources. You can start a membership trial. You can get a course recording of all the Web3 101 courses where we walk you through the knowledge you need to become a safe, confident crypto user. We got links to river.com to Banana Gun, just free cool stuff there. Also, you don't have to spend a dime to learn with us. But we want you to get connected to a community. Ours is free, where you can learn and grow with people. That's how you know what we know and what all our very smart, very cool, very beautiful friends know. Boy, are they beautiful. Everybody who bought a Rise Up Morning Show mug has been looking really beautiful lately. That's my sad pitch because Tech CEO's not here. Now, Alex, I do have to tell you before I let you go, the score of our little game. With 1 point, we have our friend Mike. 1 point, we have our friend from YouTube, Bob. DOV in the chat got 2 points. The Brontosaurus gift at the start got 1. And I'm Prozac. I'm actually going to give I'm Prozac another one for 2 points for killer username. Now for the top scores. In 4th place, William Watson the third with his eye. Feel better, Mr. Watson. In 2nd place, sorry. this is true 4th place. In 3rd place, with 3 points, it's me. Although I think I probably had at least 5 points that I didn't give myself points for. So there's 5 points. In 2nd place, he had to leave early, is William Watson, the 4th with 6 points. And that means your winner tonight is, of course, Alex with 7 points. If I didn't get those gwumps for getting drained, it might have been my night tonight. Next week, man. I'm coming for you next week.
I will say it's a pretty big footnote in the why didn't you win that you got drained. This is a gross misrepresentation.
No, man, that's true. That's super true. So thank you for joining us here tonight. We've loved the time we've spent together, and we'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. One more thing.
Did you preview the fact that there's a new After Dark slot potentially in the works here?
No, I didn't. Why don't you tell people about it? That's great. I'm so sorry.
You should have.
I should have. And I know you will.
Evan and I and Will have been kicking around the idea of doing another night slot at some point because I love After Dark and it's a time to talk to a whole bunch of people that don't get to make the morning show because of time zones and the fact that, all of us live all over the world. And perfectly timed, our friend Amy, who has quite the presence on Twitter, told us that she's interested in working more on her TikTok presence and establishing a foothold over here and telling more of her story. She's looking at doing more of the, I used to be a kindergarten teacher and now I am in Web3 full time and have done X, Y, and Z and all these sorts of things. I sold my car to buy Solana at $8 and hell of a story. And said that she was interested in setting up a new, better night show on Twitter. And she wanted to do it with the three of us on a panel with her and a few other of her friends from the industry that she thinks would be able to have a different class of conversation as she tries to also do kind of what we're working on and helping the content creation space on these different platforms just get a little more educational, a little bit less sensational. So looking at a couple different options for times. We'll, of course, keep you guys posted on when that ends up being. But we had a great meeting with her before the show tonight, and we're all very excited. So I can't wait. It'll be a Twitter space. The recordings will live on, and we'll do the exact same thing. It'll be audio. I assume probably audio only as a Twitter space, and then kind of take it from there and see where it evolves or where it runs off to.
Yeah, so we got to have the crispy mics. Crispy. I'm excited for it, man. I'm very bullish on Amy. I'm bullish on the Rise Up Morning Show After Dark. I'm bullish on everybody who's coming. We're going to have more guests that we've shared our calendar with, more great education right here. Don't forget to join the Discord. We'll see you there. Until next time, my friends, stay safe, be well. Everybody, rise up.